Our goal is to make the best personal computers in the world and to make products we are proud to sell and would recommend to our family and friends. And we want to do that at the lowest prices we can. But I have to tell you, there's some stuff in our industry that we wouldn't be proud to ship, that we wouldn't be proud to recommend to our family and friends. And we can't do it. We just can't ship junk.
As long as I can remember, Apple critics have always complained about something called the Apple tax, the premium price that you would pay for Apple products compared to competitors' offerings. And while there's definitely ammo that some of Apple's products are, well, not priced cheaply or maybe even sometimes priced rationally, I'm here to tell you that the old ideas of Apple making products that aren't worth it are gone, and it may have never even existed in the first place. And it's easy to accuse Apple of still selling high-end premium products. Just take a look at their iPhone lineup. You can see that the highest end products in this lineup are above $1,000 for a phone, a price that would have been unthinkable when the iPhone first came out, and of course, really unthinkable when the subsequent revisions of the iPhone came out that were backed by a carrier-subsidized model. Almost everywhere you look in Apple's product lineup, you will find premium offerings. From the Mac with its $6,000 Mac Pro adorned with optional $700 wheels, to the iPad Pro, a $1,099 tablet, to the Apple Watch Edition versions that sell above $800, or even AirPods. They can go all the way up to $550 with the AirPods Max. However, while Apple largely gets criticized for offering products in this price range, rarely are they lauded for offering products that fall well below these prices. Apple's recent 5G-capable iPhone SE sells for $429, and the Apple Watch SE sells for $279. Apple's excellent Mac Mini at just $700, and what I still think is overall one of the best deals in tech. For a full-fledged tablet computer, you can get an iPad for $329. And honestly, you can even get some of these products even cheaper than this if you shop around. Check out my affiliate links in the description. I gotta run this channel somehow, but let's get back to the serious topics. These products are well documented as part of the Tim Cook doctrine, the idea of updating older products, usually with older designs, but designs that are still made with premium materials and ones with great build quality packed with modern internals that often make them just as fast or reliable and future-proofed as what Apple is providing their most premium customers. For example, buying Apple's cheapest iPad, that product that I love so much, gives you an A13 chip, which still feels extremely snappy and fast. In fact, the iPadOS experience is pretty much exactly the same as you would find on Apple's more expensive iPad Pro. Apple's iPhone SE literally packs in the same power as its most expensive phones, with the same exact A15 chip powering the device. There's something to be said about a $400 phone that can not only keep up in performance with Apple's highest-end phones, but also beat out the competition with leading-edge Apple Silicon performance. That type of value you're just not gonna find anywhere in the Android department, at least when it comes to performance. Apple's Apple Watch SE, while not updated with the same internals as Apple's Series 7 watch, provides a compelling experience that takes advantage of the Apple Watch's most popular features, like health tracking and heart rate monitoring, as well as providing cellular access at cheaper prices than the original Apple Watch. And if you look at it in a vacuum of looking at it through an update from the Series 1 to the Series 3, that Apple Watch SE is such a good watch. Apple has brought down that entry-level price point, which used to be $400 just to get an Apple Watch, down to $280 for a really competent watch with still a really good design. Now, these devices aren't equal by any stretch of the imagination, and I'm not saying you don't get hardware or even software advantages if you choose to pick the more premium options of these products. But these products are reaching new audiences that Apple has been unable to reach in the past. I think the clearest example of the discontinuation of the Apple tax, though, is with Apple's most expensive product lineup, the Mac. The Mac platform in general has always been accused of carrying a much higher price than other offerings from PC competitors. And while I would argue that in general, Apple has always made these products from a perspective of quality, what most critics would focus on were the components that could be directly compared to their PC counterparts. So they dismissed things like the amazing premium materials, excellent displays, the great unibody designs of the time, but instead focused on things like the processors, the amount of storage you get, or the amount of memory you got in these Macs. In this spec war, there was no hiding that Apple had no choice but to use similar parts, or even the same exact Intel processors or NVIDIA or AMD graphics cards that the same PC competitor desktops or laptops were using. And critics would argue that they could build a similarly spec'd Windows machine for much less than Apple's desktops. In some cases, they were right. In others, they lack the perspective of why one would choose a form factor like the iMac over a bulky PC desktop tower, but the point remains that Mac's only differentiation between its PC's brethren was the design and the software. But in these last 2 years, even that has now changed, with Apple ditching Intel and AMD and now making their own custom Apple silicon chips for both their CPUs and their GPUs. With this one change, Macs that used to be underpowered and seemingly a poor value did a complete 180, now offering outstanding performance with the new M1 chip. This turned products like the Mac Mini into what many people consider one of the best desktop values in computing right now, a $700 box that can absolutely scream. Not with the sound of the fan, because as any of us who have experience using Apple silicon computers know, there is usually no fan noise. No, the screaming I'm talking about comes from the excellent snappy computing power of the M1 chip. It also transformed Apple's most popular Macs, their laptops, where a good product needs to balance efficiency as well as power. The MacBook Air, even with the same exact design as the previous iteration, was instantly transformed from a poor-valued, underpowered laptop that could come to a crawl and whine like a baby if you pushed it too hard, into perhaps one of the smoothest and most powerful Ultrabooks on the market, with absurd battery life that redefines what Mac users expect out of their laptops. Oh, and they literally ditched the fan, turning the MacBook Air into iPad levels of efficiency overnight, with power that could outclass Apple's biggest 16-inch Intel MacBook Pro at the time. And 2 years later, Apple's cheapest Apple Silicon laptop, the MacBook Air, is still, I think, one of the best laptops ever made. It revolutionized the laptop in as much, or maybe in an even more significant way, than when Steve Jobs pulled the first one out of that manila envelope all those years ago. And while it's great to admire the budget-oriented products coming out of Apple, we have also seen the higher-end products get better and deliver more value with Apple Silicon. The new MacBook Pros offer amazing performance that you used to only be able to get in a Mac Pro on battery power that can last you an entire day's worth of actual, real performance work. And that is power you can't find in any spec sheet. The power to be creative, a way free from the limits of products Apple was shipping just a couple years ago. There was no way that you would be able to get a MacBook with that much power and be able to last on battery powers for multiple hours and just get a day's worth of work done. That is incredibly freeing. That is incredibly powerful. That doesn't even mention some of the hardware components that Apple is now shipping in their laptops with what I think are some of the best laptop displays in the entire industry with their mini LED technology. Even Apple's latest M1 Max Studio has brought us a powerful desktop in a smaller form factor that just packs in specs in a value package that just wouldn't have been possible a few years ago. Apple is controlling its own destiny in ways that we have never seen before, and by controlling even more of the experience, not just from a software standpoint, but from their own custom hardware as well. You just would not have been able to find an Apple desktop in this price range that would have delivered this much performance at its price point a few years ago. This ultimately has given Apple a unique advantage, and it's a unique advantage that spans in multiple ways and in multiple paths, with Apple Silicon leading the way for better products at better values, and with the vaunted Apple ecosystem constantly working together, delivering value to the entire product lineup, and more value with the more products you own from that collection, a competitive advantage that we just haven't seen on this scale from anyone else in the entire computing industry. As someone who's used Apple products for so long, it is strange to see this validation of this idea of products that I have always loved for their ease of use, their design, and software turn into products that actually deliver value at multiple price points. And as someone who reviews these Apple products, I have found that in these past 2 years, it has been easier than ever to recommend the entry level and the base models of these products to my family, to my friends, and of course, most importantly, to my viewers watching these videos. Are there still areas where Apple could be considered expensive or where their entry-level products could be better? Yes, I think that's obvious. But at the end of the day, I think that Apple is still a company that, at least in Steve's words, they want to make the best products possible. They don't want to ship junk, and Apple has threaded that needle very carefully. Carefully enough that with their entry-level products, that even if they aren't the flashiest or packed with the most bleeding-edge designs or features, they aren't junk. And the Apple tax, as we know it, it's over. All right, everyone, hopefully you like this video because this video is over. And if you did, be sure to leave me a like. And if you want to see more, make sure you're subscribed, and I will see you all in the next video. Take care, everyone.